Hello everyone, I am Shyam Banka. I will be going through this case study interview. The purpose of this video is to go through an interview and give you an understanding of how a case study interview progresses, and also present in the second half of the video, present a understanding of how the interview was and how was it structured. The interview which you see here, the ones in the blue black background is the statements of the interviewer, and ones in the white background and blue text are the statements of the interviewee or the candidate. So let us begin and see how the case goes. And this is a case of profitability, and it's about an airline operator. Your client is a low-cost airline operator in Europe. Over the past 2 to 3 years, it has been burning cash. Diagnose and recommend solutions. So it's very important in profitability questions to understand what exactly is the first line, what is the case about, and then you begin with gathering more information about the client's business. So we know that it's an airline operator in Europe. It is a low cost airline operator, and from past 2 to 3 years, it has been burning cash. I would like to ask a few clarifying questions before I begin to analyze the case. I would want to understand the client's business. What kind of flight does the company operate in? The company operates short flight across Europe. We have direct as well as connecting flights. Okay. How many competitors do we have, and are they facing similar problems? We do have two major competitors, but unfortunately, none of them are facing this kind of problem. You can go ahead and work out the revenue streams of our client. Okay, so the interviewer has said that this is enough information for now, and we want you to now figure out what could be the possible exhaustive list of revenue streams for the client. And so we are moving on to the second part of the interview, where we have gathered some information about how the market is and what exactly is the client in business in with. And now we are moving to the analysis part of the interview. Okay, so I believe that the major revenue streams would be hospitality, revenue generated from tickets, and cargo. I wanted to confirm, once we have the revenues gone down, and has there been any significant changes in cost? Yes, the revenues have gone down and the costs have increased. Let us focus now on the revenue generated from the sales of ticket. I think the interviewer is directing it pretty well exactly where he wants the candidate to focus in. So let's focus on the sales of ticket. That's very helpful. I would want to analyze this problem by looking at various components of the revenue. I would break them down into price per ticket, occupancy rate, number of seats, and number of flight. Do we have information on any of these parameters? Yes. So the number of direct flights have gone up, and the occupancy rate in both the direct and indirect flights have gone down. Okay. Uh, okay. So now I understand that a drop in revenue is mainly due to drop in occupancy rate. Do we have any data regarding the same? Also, to further understand why we are burning cash, I would like to look into the cost side. Sure, go ahead and tell me what are the major cost components. Okay, I would break down the cost into fixed costs and variable cost. Uh, the fixed cost would comprise of lease, hangar cost, salaries, and marketing. The variable cost would be fuel, maintenance, and operations, etc. Do we know how these cost heads have changed over the last 3 years? Yes, the hangar costs have gone up. I'm trying to understand why the costs have gone up and whether this has gone up for the entire industry or only specifically for us. It has been such that hangar costs have gone up only for us. This is because we have started owning airports. The speciality is that people need to reach our airport only half an hour prior to their flights. Okay, that helps a lot. Uh, so what I understand is that we have started owning airports, and this has led to large investment costs, hence leading to burning of cashes. Further, I would like to understand why the occupancy rate has gone down. Okay, so the interview is going in two verticals. One is going in the revenue side and one is going in the cost side. This is not a very smart way to do an to have a very smooth flow of an interview because you have to keep track of both the sides. Once you should finish the revenue side and then go to the cost side. But right now we are in problem identifying phase of where exactly the problem is coming from. We have identified the cost side pretty well. Now we are moving on to further digging into the revenue side. Please go ahead. So I would like to break the entire value chain into components. Those are procedure for flight bookings, reaching the airport, procedure at the airport, taking the flight, taking the luggage to the destination airport. I would now further like to understand each of the mentioned process. Okay, let's focus on reaching the airport segment. I would further like to tell you that though the airport is in the outskirts, the time costs of reaching the airport is the same. Okay. Uh, I would break down the cost into the time cost and effort cost. Now, since the time cost is the same, I assume that the effort cost has gone up. Is that a fair assumption? Quite right. I have a few numbers. Can you work with them and let me know your suggestions? At earlier airports, mode of transport was public 30%, owned 20%, and taxis 50%. Now in this airport, it's public 50%, owned 40%, and taxis 10%. Okay. So majorly it was before it was taxis, now it's public transportation. And own has also gone up by 24%. Okay, that's interesting. So the availability of taxis in the airport location has gone down. This is primarily because the airport is situated in the outskirts. So the taxis do not get any passengers while returning. Hence, the number of taxis in the areas have gone down. Now, the taxis being less in number, it has become difficult for passengers to reach the airport. Hence, that explains the reasons why occupancy rate have gone down. If that is correct, you can summarize the case and suggest a few recommendations. So pretty well, analysis part is also done. The candidate was able to structure the problem, both sides. Cost side also, he was able to structure the entire thing into what are the different costs, either variable or fixed. And then the revenue side also, he was able to structure the entire flow chain of how of passenger's journey from the start to end and able to identify what exactly is the problem with the number of uh, low occupancy rate. So let's see what are the recommendations now. Uh, as per my understanding, the company has burnt cash because of huge investment in building airports. Now the airport being located in the outskirts has very less availability of taxis, which are the most preferred mode of transportation to an airport. Hence, the passenger preferring the airlines have gone down, leading to decrease in occupancy rate. I would now state my recommendations. Yes, please go on. I would suggest that the client should start its own shuttle service or collaborate with taxi, providing them added incentive. Further, a client can also include transportation costs from the airport to the desired location as a part of ticket price. Pretty straightforward, pretty a little bit creative too. Uh, and I think the interview was pretty well structured and well spoken. Let's move on to the second part of the video where we analyze how the interview was. Okay, so the client is a low-cost airline in Europe. Over the past 2 3 years, has been burning cash, diagnose and recommend solutions. Okay, so interviewee notes. Revenue cost. So it's also very important to note to have to know what exactly to note down when the interview is going on, because sometimes at the end of the interview might take up your notes and he should be able to understand by one glance of it of what exactly was your thinking process and what exactly was what are the important points you noted down. So try to make sure that your notes are very simple and straightforward and easy to understand. Interview notes, revenue cost analysis. Okay. Client currently in airline industry. Ask about the current status of the industry and competitive scenario. Look into the consumer's journey. Okay. Case facts. Clients operating both direct and connecting flights across Europe. It's a low cost airline. Problem exists with the client, revenue have gone down and the cost have increased. Problem, number of flights have gone up while occupancy rate has gone down. Hangar costs have gone up. The client has started owning airports. Arrival only 30 minutes prior to departure. Uh, Airports located in outskirts, but time cost of reaching the airport remains the same. Okay, and let's see how the interview was structured. So the profit was divided into revenue and cost. In this case, we analyzed both sides. So in revenue, it was price per ticket, which remained the same, but the total number of customers have gone down. That is because number of flights were same, number of seats per flight was same, the occupancy rate has gone down. In cost, there were variable and fixed cost, and in fixed cost, the hangar cost were increased because the client were building their own airports, which needed high investment initially. So the recommendations would be should start its own shuttle service, should collaborate with cab aggregators by providing added incentives and ensure taxis stay outside the airport, can bundle two services together, air ticket price and transportation price to ensure passengers are picked, dropped from the respective locations. Observations and suggestions. Okay, so this is the part where we figure out on what basis the interviewer was judging the candidate. The candidate did a good job in figuring out the fundamentals in why the revenue has gone down. Also, after the cost analysis, the candidate was able to further elaborate on the reasons why the revenue has gone down. Okay. Need to understand the customer journey to figure out the reason behind lower occupancy rate. So that part was uh, that part was also mentioned where the candidate figure out the people were not preferring the airport because they were outskirts. But yeah, so need to there was a need to understand customers' journey to figure out the reasons behind lower occupancy rate. Do not directly suggest to undo an action the client has taken unless there is a sufficient evidence to suggest the same. Okay. So this is also very important, which is a key interview is basically preparing you for a real world exercise where you will be talking to a client, and if you tell them that please undo the second action you have taken is wrong, they might not be open to hire you as consultant, and you have to be really smart about what exactly are you suggesting and is it convincing enough for the client to implement, because if they don't implement it, it's not of any use. So I hope you guys learned from this interview, and I'll be uploading one video every day, one such case study interview about different topics. Currently, we are doing profitability, and there will be a couple more of these interview in profitability chapter, and then we will be moving on to different chapters. So please do subscribe so that you get a notification every time I update it, and you'll always stay on track of what are the new cases being covered. Thank you and have a nice day.